Hello, friends, and welcome back to Dare Me to Prosper. My name is Avery, and I am your host, and this is episode 21. And today we're talking about how different energies in your body, stuck energy, emotions, energy in general, how different energies in your body impact your health, more specifically, weight and weight loss. So this is going to be a topic that is near and dear to my heart, but little disclaimer, if this is a sensitive topic for you, if this is a triggering topic, we are going to talk about weight loss and calories and food and exercise, but of course, also more so the energetic side of that. But if this is a triggering topic for you, this might not be your episode. Totally okay. I'll see you guys in the next one. But this episode specifically, we're going to talk about the understanding, the why behind why we might retain weight, even if we're doing everything else right, from a mind, body, soul perspective. It's not a weight loss formula, but we're going to talk about uncovering why your body might be holding on to extra weight that goes beyond just calories and movement. Okay, but before we get started, just a reminder to please leave a review for the podcast if you're enjoying it and you have not yet left a review. It means so much to me, and it really makes a big difference on the visibility of the podcast, and so I very much appreciate it. So do that if you haven't already. Also, want to do a quick reminder for a last call for opportunity to work with me completely free to do a few questions for a psychic reading. I am in the process of setting up an opportunity to work with me one-on-one to do psychic readings, but I'm still letting a few more people in before I close that for good or until it becomes a paid service. So again, this is your reminder to do this now if you've been thinking about it or you have felt like an urge to email me or to do this. If you have some questions, do it. It's probably guidance that you're receiving. It's completely free. There's no risk. If it doesn't resonate with you, there is no pressure here. So I will leave a link to that where you can directly do that on my website, or you can always just email me at daremetoprosper@gmail.com with a couple of questions that you'd like me to tune into for you, and I will get back to you. And thank you so much to those of you that have trusted me with this so far. It has been so fun and purposeful and exhilarating to be able to work with you guys, and I'm just so excited and looking forward to this. Okay, and then the last thing is just a reminder. Last week I did an episode on past lives, which was so fun. Definitely go listen to that episode if you haven't already. We really got into the nitty-gritty and I shared some deep but also kind of funny past lives and talked about all of that. And I also last week launched a free guided meditation for past lives. So like a little bundle where it's a guide and a video, absolutely free. It's on my website. I have a link in the description just for you to get to practice that on your own and see if you can tap into any of that, or at least practice and kind of get used to getting into that meditative state where you have more access to those memories, that information, the downloads, all of those things. So again, that is free and in the description if you are interested. Okay. Let's get into this episode. I think it's going to be really fascinating. So let's talk about weight. This is definitely something that I have struggled with over the years. I have ebbed and flowed. I've always been someone that has carried some extra weight on my body. I've never really considered myself overweight, but even when I was a child, it was something that I was aware of and that I was conscious of. I certainly had a different build, even than my own children. I tended to carry a little bit more weight than my siblings, than my own children do. I just always had meat on my bones. And as we get into this, it will make more sense because I did have somewhat of a difficult childhood, and now it makes complete sense to me. I can look back and be like, that makes total sense why my body reacted that way. But anyway, I was never an overweight child, but whatever. I was middle ground, I would say, all the way, up through childhood, adolescence, high school, college. I weigh less now than I did in high school and college. And I wouldn't have considered myself overweight again, but I just carried a little bit more weight than my body needed. And I always I was always mostly comfortable. I wasn't overly always self-conscious about it, but it was always there. It was always something I was aware of. I was always trying to stay active. I played sports in high school. I worked out in college. I've always been active, but it was just always something that I wasn't sure if I could ever lose weight, I guess, or if that was just my body type until about college. And in college, I had a serious boyfriend, and then when I broke up with him, that was the first time when I really got serious about it. As an adult, I would say for the first time felt really kind of empowered to take it seriously and to start really tuning into what I was eating and how I was moving my body. And I just got serious about it. And so that was the first time. I was a sophomore, I guess, in college, and I dropped 15 to 20 pounds, which was a good bit, for my frame. And so that really made a big impact on my life. And I just felt so much better about myself. I felt really at home in my body. And I kept that weight off for the rest of college, where, then I started dating my now husband and we got married. And I basically stayed at that weight until I got pregnant with my first child. So fast forward now 3 children later, my youngest is 5. I obviously ebbed and flowed a lot throughout the childbearing years. Of course, when you're pregnant, you gain weight. It's really hard on your body. And so I gained probably 40 to 60 pounds with each pregnancy. And then I would lose it in between for the most part. But of course, during that time, I had a lot of emotional ups and downs as well. It's really hard growing and having children and taking care of children and having young children and all of that. There was a lot of emotional impact that went into that time as well. And so now, even though I've lost most of that weight, I would probably like to still lose a little bit more. But now I just appreciate having a fuller understanding of the fact that it's not just calories and movement. And I know that that's kind of what we've always been told and what we've always been led to believe by fitness influencers or by, physical trainers. But it's really a little bit more complicated than that. And now I have just a better appreciation for that looking back throughout different times in my life when I was gaining or losing this weight. I can also look back now and understand, oh, that makes so much sense because this was going on in my life at that time, or this was a really hard season and I had more weight on me. And then I was able to kind of move through and process that, and I was able to lose this weight. Like it all definitely, looking back, lines up not only with how I was eating and exercising, but the energy that I was taking on in that point of my life. And so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that because it can be really frustrating and leave a lot of people feeling really stuck and unseen because they're eating well and they're moving their bodies and they're doing the thing that they've always been told is, as long as you do this, you'll lose weight. It's always just a calorie deficit. It's a calorie deficit. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. Yes, a calorie deficit is, of course, part of that. However, your metabolism and your hormones and your stress levels and all of these things have an energetic tie that play into that. And so for a lot of people, weight is a symptom, not a root problem. So this is going to be really insightful if you are somebody that has struggled with your weight or chronic health with your weight or chronic health issues chronically or long term. It's going to be so helpful to have this deeper understanding. Let's talk about the why behind your body storing this extra fat and how that relates to energy. How does energy impact your body and weight loss? In this context, we're going to consider energy the invisible running current throughout your body. Energy is obviously such a massive word, but in this context, we're talking about specifically like the energy in your body, your chi, your life force, the invisible energy that includes your emotions, your past experiences, your subconscious patterns, even your belief systems. All of those things can speed up or slow down. They can help energy flow, or they can cause energy to become blocked or stagnant. And all of those things and the way that that energy moves throughout your body affects your physical body. Just like they say stress can cause illness. You've probably heard that before. You hear that, from scientific studies, how they're figuring out how much of an impact stress has on your body. That's exactly what this is. Every emotion that you've ever had has a reaction in your body. And when that energy gets stuck, things like low energy, chronic fatigue, digestive issues that don't resolve with diet changes, all these sorts of things are like signs and signals that your body gives off that there is emotional and energetic congestion. And so while there's all of these different chronic health issues that it can relate to, today we're going to focus on weight being one of those issues. And so that weight that you cannot lose, or that's very difficult to lose, or that you've always struggled with, is often has that deeper link to emotional wounds, like feeling unsafe, feeling unloved, feeling unseen, feeling ashamed. These wounds create energetic These wounds create energetic patterns that tell your body to hold on to the weight. Many times when you go through a trauma or a difficult emotional experience, or you feel these difficult emotions, your body will store these emotions long term. Why? Because the emotions aren't processed. Emotions are actually biochemical and energetic responses in your body. Every emotion that you have, again, triggers a unique chemical reaction in your body depending on the frequency of that emotion. So I know in past episodes I've linked a chart that kind of shows you the frequency of emotions and how like love and peace are this really high frequency emotion at the top, all the way down to the bottom where you have like hopelessness and things like that, despair. I'll link that again because I just think it's a really helpful visual. But basically, the more positive the emotion, the more positive the chemical reaction will be in your body. Again, joy versus stress. Which one do you think is tied to illness and health issues? Is it joy or is it stress? Obviously, stress, that is a low negative frequency, a low emotion. If the emotion is expressed or fully processed, like if you process the emotion, you're not afraid of it, you're not avoiding it, like crying when you're actually sad, shaking when you're scared, yelling when you're angry, getting the emotion out of your body, the energy is more likely to be able to move through and out of your body and basically complete its cycle. But if you suppress those emotions or you don't express them due to just past trauma or chronic exposure, negative experiences, either a lack of willingness or a lack of ability, like you were a child and you just didn't know how to process emotions, over time, those emotions build up in the body and create energetic blockages. That's what a blocked or stagnant chakra is, for example. Like if you've ever heard somebody say, oh, they have a blocked crown chakra, they have a blocked root chakra, whatever, that's the energy that's being bound and kind of is stuck in that one spot. And each chakra or energy center throughout your body has specific emotions or parts of your life that it's connected to based on, again, frequencies. Back to that radio station that we've talked about so many times in so many episodes, different frequencies kind of tune you into different radio stations, different parts of your body, different emotions. So if you don't process those emotions, then the feelings like grief, anger, and fear don't just disappear, they live in your tissues, and your body becomes like a storage unit. So think of it like undigested food in your digestive tract. The unprocessed emotion just sits there and rots like food would until it's fully digested. But while it's sitting there, it's wreaking havoc. The rot, or those stored emotions, act like a toxic substance in your body that's off-gassing and consistently lowering your frequency, clogging up your energy systems until you finally process it and move it out. So if your body believes that processing certain emotions isn't safe, then it's going to pause the process of digesting. It's holding on to it. It's storing it because it's like, I don't feel safe to process this emotion right now, or I don't know how to process the emotion. So I'm just going to hold on to it until I can process it. And so again, that could lead to all sorts of things, chronic tension, chronic pain, whatever it is. In this case, we're going to talk about how it leads to weight gain or holding on to weight. Because again, the age-old model of eat less, move more, and just trying to simplify it to just that, which we hear all the time, it doesn't account for your nervous system. And your body is very much so a whole unit. And I think that, we're kind of moving in this direction. This is like what functional medicine doctors focus on. I know I see a functional medicine doctor. I know a lot of people are moving in this direction, kind of away from the average like medical care and towards people and doctors and practitioners that focus on the whole body as a unit, because the understanding there is that we're not just treating symptoms, we want to treat the root of issues, and the root of issues is a much more complex system. Your body is like this web where everything is connected. And so in the past, not enough attention has been given to other things that affect our weight and why the body holds on to it. So again, your nervous system, your trauma history, how those things affect your metabolism, your hormone function, inflammation, all of those things in turn affect your weight. So for example, chronic stress puts the body into survival mode, which raises your cortisol. It slows down digestion. Why? Why is that hard to say? If your body thinks it's in danger and it's not safe to process emotions, it will store fat no matter how clean you eat. And so really, if we simplify it, the calorie deficit idea that's all it is an oversimplification. It's really a myth that it's only a calorie deficit and nothing else. And the mainstream fitness industry will tell you, if you're not losing weight, you're not really in a deficit. But there's millions of people who can testify that they have been in a calorie deficit they're not all wrong. They're not all just like completely screwing up the numbers and not exercising. They very well may be in a calorie deficit and not losing weight. The reality is your body is a complex, adaptive system. And when you're in a calorie deficit but not losing weight, it could be due to a slowed down metabolism. It could be due to increased water retention. It could be due to these fat cells that your nervous system does not feel safe to let go of. Yes, a calorie deficit will lead to weight loss, but only if your body feels safe enough to release the weight. If your body does not feel safe, if your nervous system does not feel safe enough to release these stored emotions, it's still in survival mode. Okay, so for you, what is it? What is the reason? How do you figure out why your body is holding on to the extra weight or what emotions you might need to process? A very common reason that your body may hold on to extra weight is oftentimes weight or extra fat is used as it's like your body's way of adding extra protection, which when I first heard this, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. How is extra weight protecting me? Isn't that making me more vulnerable to other people's judgments or self-doubt, making me feel less safe in my body? And yes, that would also be true. But your body, like many of our body's survival systems, it's not necessarily always logical in the way that we think about it. It's literally just an instinctive survival mechanism. So for a lot of people, that extra weight is not them being lazy. It's their body trying to keep them safe. If somebody has been through trauma, deep rejection, abuse, your body might subconsciously create a barrier. This extra fat acts as an energetic barrier between the person and the world. It's trying to protect you based on instinct and your nervous system memories. So for example, if you endured any type of, say, sexual trauma as a child or an adult, or if you were overpowered in some way, like you just felt weak and endangered, if you were ever targeted in a way that made you emotionally kind of shrink up or lose your power, lose your control, your body instinctively sort of acts on the idea that being bigger or having more layers, quote unquote, between you and the world will not only make you larger in the sense of mass and therefore possibly less of a threat, so it's a survival instinct, but also it will make you feel, or not make you feel, but make you come across as tougher or harder to mess with if you have that extra fat, that extra padding, that extra protection. It's your body, like with so many different health issues, trying to protect you. It's not logical. It's a survival instinct that doesn't always feel very helpful. That being said, when you are able to process that old trauma and those old emotions and your body begins to feel safe, like, oh, I don't need to protect so much. I'm safe. My nervous system is relaxed. I don't feel like there's a constant threat. I can let go of this protection, this extra weight, these extra fat cells, not just physically, but emotionally. And that's when you start to see the shift in your actual weight. So it's important to remember, if this is something that you personally struggle with or you have a history with, to give your body some grace, because your body is just acting as a communicator. It's always trying to protect you. It's always trying to keep you safe, to keep you held, to get you through life, which is difficult. So symptoms like a stubborn weight gain or holding on to weight are often just your body sending you a message saying, I don't feel safe, or I'm carrying too much emotional burden, or I'm still processing pain. Your body is on your side, but you've got to reassure your physical vessel that you have got what it takes, that you know how to process emotions, and that you can feel safe and at home in your body. Okay? And different emotions can be stored by your body in different ways. Like different, if you have like, I hate to say like trouble spots, because I don't really think they're necessarily trouble spots, but like if you have areas on your body that maybe hold on to more weight than other areas. So for example, holding on to weight in the belly can be reflective of control issues or feelings of powerlessness, where weight in the hips or thighs can relate to feeling unsupported or ungrounded, carrying too much emotional weight. And so really the most applicable idea here is for you to personally think back on your life, whether it's in the past or whether it's in your present, and try to think, if this is something you struggle with, if you are somebody who feels like your body is hanging on to extra weight, or, you always have a hard time losing weight or whatever, consider, where in my life does my nervous system not feel safe? Do I not feel safe to express my emotions? Do I have a history of feeling like I had to protect myself or protect others or carry weight for other people? Was I abused in a way that made me feel in danger and unsafe? And maybe that residue is still kind of energetically being carried in your body. Your body could associate being smaller with being in danger. So if you carry that unconscious guilt, grief, unworthiness even in your body from past experiences, your body is using that weight as a physical expression of those feelings that still need attention. So basically, for those of us that do still have extra weight that's not healthy, I'm not talking about, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. I'm not setting this up. I'm not talking about losing weight until you are a beanpole or until you are some unrealistic beauty standard that you need to look like a model or some crazy thin, unhealthy, false standard. That is not the goal. I truly believe, especially women, that you are meant to have curves and softness and strength and muscle. But the goal here is that I'm trusting, I am speaking to you as if you know the difference between an unhealthy amount of weight loss and a healthy weight loss, and where your body would most naturally just feel safe and at home without also feeling restricted, or like the goal here is never to keep up with an unhealthy social media standard. Okay. The goal here is to be at home, safe, comfortable, and whole in our body, which, by the way, and we're going to talk about this, but you really need to do before you can lose the weight. Because again, that feeling of like hating your body, or that feeling of being really hard on your body or unhappy with how things look on your body or how you feel in your body, that is giving your nervous system and your body a negative signal. That's working against your weight loss, not for it. Those are negative emotions, which are going to cause negative reactions in your body. And it doesn't mean that if you're a thin person, if you feel negative emotion, you're going to gain weight. It's so complex. It's not that simplified either. Just like we oversimplified calories in, calories out, you can't oversimplify it by also saying if you have a negative emotion, you're going to gain weight, or that thin people never experience heavy emotions or trauma. Really, the chemical reactions due to our emotions in our bodies, everybody is processing things in a different way. First of all, everybody has different generational patterns, everybody has different genetics, and we all process or carry our emotions differently. So you can never just look at someone or look at their weight and assume that you know how their emotions are being processed in their body or what they've been through. Okay, so it's not something that you're going to be able to look at someone and assume without knowing the deep vastness of their internal world. So I just want to give that as a disclaimer, because you cannot oversimplify it on that end of the spectrum either. But getting back to this idea of letting your nervous system feel safe, have you ever noticed, and this applies to all sorts of different things, but it also taps into like how manifestation works. Have you ever noticed how when you stop obsessing over something, you get the thing that you wanted? Like when you stop obsessing over getting into a relationship, all of a sudden you find your person. This applies to so many things. The more that we hold on and control, and we just are living in this stress state over whatever it is, you're sending the wrong signal to your body and to your energetic environment that it's not safe for that thing to happen or that thing to come in. I know I've had this happen in my own life. I've watched this happen in so many people's lives around me, where the second the obsession stops, the thing comes in. Weight loss is the same way. Have you ever seen somebody finally relax, or finally they go, you know what? I'm going to stop hating my body. I'm going to appreciate my body. I'm going to love my body. I'm going to start feeling at home in my body, celebrating it. And then all of a sudden, here the weight comes off. I'm going to stop crazy restrictive dieting, and I'm going to just intuitively eat, and I'm going to praise my body and feel good in it. All of a sudden the weight comes off. It's not magic, it's nervous system regulation. When you stop living in a stress state, your digestion improves, your hormones stabilize, your inflammation lowers. All of those things affect your weight, and all of those things also have ties to your emotions and your energy throughout your body. It is all connected. That is why doing things like energy work, emotional healing, breath work, all of these things can often unlock the physical transformation that diet and exercise alone couldn't. So the more realistic equation for weight loss is not just diet and exercise. It's more like diet, exercise, nervous system, emotions, belief, and energy safety. All of those things equal your weight. Your energetic blueprint, which includes all of those things I just listed, determines how your body responds to food restriction, how it responds to nourishment, how it responds to rest, how it responds to exercise, even how it responds to love. If your inner world feels chaotic and unsafe, your body will resist change, because your body is like, we're running from zombies and there's an earthquake and it's the end of the world. Why would I lose weight right now? Your body doesn't know why you want to lose weight or what's happening necessarily. It just feels danger, nervous system, not safe. I'm not going to lose weight right now. It's not safe. I've got to survive. I've got to keep my human alive. So no matter how much movement you're doing or how clean your meals are, your body is not going to let go of that weight if it's trying to keep you safe. I also do want to touch on generational patterns and inherited energy, because weight issues or holding on to weight, just like trauma, can run through families. Okay, so trauma can be passed down not just through behaviors, but biologically. You carry the emotional weight of your grandmother who lived in scarcity. It's in your DNA, it's in your cells. And this is something that I feel like science is like just now kind of tapping into, but you can pass down emotions to your offspring, because again, the emotion is stored in the body. It is stored in your physical, your DNA, your cells, all of the things that gets passed on to a baby, just like regular DNA, because the body never forgets. So if your grandmother lived in scarcity, maybe your grandmother lived through the Great Depression. I know mine did. You know, if your grandmother went through World War II, or your grandfather, whoever, and they carried all of that negative emotion that they never processed, and so it never moved out of the body, which many of them didn't, because a lot of people, like our ancestors, you know, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, we're not this, you know, we didn't talk about this stuff. People are just now starting to open up these conversations. People didn't see a therapist back then. People didn't really know how to process emotions. It was a lot of shoving the emotion down and being strong and sucking it up, and, you know, and life was hard. I don't blame them. I understand. But those emotions that never got processed in their bodies, guess what? Those got passed down. If your parents didn't process those emotions, guess what? That got passed down. That's why you hear so much talk now in the spiritual community of you being a cycle breaker, you being the one to break a generational curse. All of that stuff is being passed down to us. And now, because we are more aware of how we can process the emotion, of how we can spiritually let go of these old patterns, we are being offered the chance to kind of break the chain, break the emotional pattern. Lucky us, right? So again, some of the emotion might not even be yours. However, you still have to show and tell your body that you are safe, that you actually believe that you're safe, so that your nervous system believes you and trusts you and can let go of that extra weight. And then there's just, of course, like coping mechanisms
This is editing Avery here to tell you that I meant to say coping mechanisms.
That we just learned in our childhood. If your family used food to self soothe, or if your family avoided emotions and just shoved them down, didn't process them, you probably internalized that as a child. And those patterns can affect your relationship with your body, with your nervous system, or with food. You have the power to end these patterns by becoming conscious of them. There is no shame. There is no blame here. There is nothing to feel guilty about. It's literally just we are learning now how this works. We're learning about how we can be liberated from these old, suppressed, stuck energies and emotions. So now what? How do you heal? How do you process the emotions and let go of them? We've talked about this in lots of other episodes, but I'll kind of touch on it in this specific instance. You can start shifting and moving this energy simply with your intentions. Similar to how we manifest, again, in general, based on our energy, based on our beliefs, we can help our body let go of the weight if we recognize the wounds and communicate to the body energetically with our intention that it's safe to let go. So, what does this look like? It might feel a little bit awkward, but genuinely, one of the easiest and most straightforward ways to do this is to literally just talk to your body, other than processing your emotions. Looking at your emotions, again, we've talked about this in a bunch of other episodes. Processing your emotions by just recognizing them, feeling the emotions, not avoiding the emotions, feeling them, letting them run through your body, thinking about them, digesting them, breaking them down, whether you need to journal, whether you need to meditate, maybe you need to cry, maybe you need to scream, maybe you need to talk to somebody, whether it's a therapist or somebody close to you, whatever it is, getting those emotions, letting them breathe to move out of your body, so processing the emotion, but then also now you have to teach your body that you're safe. So one of the most simple ways to do this is to actually talk to your body. You don't have to say it out loud if you feel like an idiot. I think it can be really helpful. Maybe we should start doing that more often. I know sometimes I have a hard time with that. It doesn't have to be out loud. It can simply be in your head to yourself, talking to your body. What am I holding on to? Body, what are you holding on to? What do you need for me to feel safe? You can meditate on this and see what information comes through, or you can just intuitively kind of tap in like, what do I feel like I'm holding on to? What old patterns are sitting in my body that I need to let go of? And try to figure out what that is for you specifically. For me personally, I do this when I'm working out. Like I think about, if I'm doing squats or whatever it is, like if I'm working out my legs, for example, I also take a moment in my mind while I'm working out to think I am supported. I know how to handle my emotions. I've got myself, because again, like if you're holding on to weight in your thighs or your butt, like that area, a lot of that can be feeling unsupported, feeling like you had to carry too much on your own. And so if I'm working out my legs, I will just kind of gently remind myself like I'm strong, I'm supported, I've got this, I have the capability now to carry myself, I'm safe. I'm reminding my body that I'm safe. I will even like imagine visually my fat cells like releasing and letting go as a way of kind of helping my body get on the same page of like, we're safe, we can release this. I don't have to hold on to these old emotions anymore. I've processed them, or I am processing them. I'm safe to process them. I trust myself to process the emotions. I trust my body. We've got this. We can let it go. So whatever body part you're working out, your arms, your back, your stomach, you're just walking. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be super specific, but just reminding your body as you're moving or as you're eating even, just I trust my body. I'm safe to let go. I'm allowed to feel light. My body is safe now. I release what I no longer need to carry emotionally, energetically, physically. Also, just journaling these things, writing them down, that can be really powerful. And again, visualization, like visualize you in your most healthy body, where your body feels safe, you feel whole, you feel secure in your body. Visualize not only what it looks like, but what it feels like to be in that body. And then, of course, anything that helps your nervous system will help weight loss. So breath work, meditation, EFT tapping to shift old beliefs. It could be Reiki, like if you go see a practitioner and get Reiki done. Literally anything that helps move emotion, that helps your nervous system. Grounding outside, go put your feet in the grass. Listening to music, dancing, anything playful, anything that helps your nervous system, anything. Taking magnesium, anything that helps your nervous system will help this weight loss. The bigger picture is that you Instead of seeing your body as working against you or being frustrated with it for not doing what you want it to do, recognize your body as your teammate that's been protecting you and trying to keep you safe your entire life. It's been fighting for you out of love and protection. So give it grace. Instead of criticizing your body, listen to your body. Listen to what it needs. What emotions does it need to process? What does it not feel safe doing? And as you begin to partner with your body instead of criticizing it, as you join teams with your body and begin to work with it and give it what it needs and what it wants emotionally and energetically and not just physically, it will start to feel safe to let go. And I am with you guys. If you are somebody that has listened to this episode because you're here and you are trying to lose weight or you feel like you have unprocessed emotions that could be playing into this, I get you. I'm with you. I'm still on this journey. I'm not finished. And so that's the reason I wanted to do this episode is I'm still here with you. And this is something that I have been working on myself. And I know that a lot of other people can relate to this. And so this hopefully is an episode that can just really bring some attention or some eye-opening information that can help you not only be physically healthier, but be emotionally and spiritually healthier. And so that's it for this episode, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope that this was helpful. Please leave a review. Why can I not talk? Why can I not talk today? Please leave a review. If you have enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes, and if you found them helpful, I would love to hear from you. You can always email me at daremetoprosper@gmail.com with any questions or any business inquiries. Again, I have a link in the description if you would like to reach out for me. Do you see what I mean? Why can I not talk? If you would like to reach out to me, again, regarding the psychic readings, while they are free for just a little bit longer, there is a link in the description to do that. So thank you so much for listening. I love you. I'm thankful for you. And I will see you in the next episode of Dare Me to Prosper.